Uh, did you see the new video by that channel In Shadow who produced um the animated video about the
Say it
shadow?
again.
You know how on my channel there's every once in a while there's like those animated it's
The 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 box.
yeah, like from that one, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
that channel just put out a new video and um I found it absolutely stunning and just beautiful, like outstanding, um, to the utmost. And ah, and um, I almost so you haven't seen it.
No,
Is
no, I haven't
is what
seen
I
it.
gather.
No,
Okay, yeah. So
you got to explain it to me
I'm
in
not gonna
depth.
do that. Yeah,
All
I definitely recommend you watch it,
right,
man.
give me the Eurythmy version of
Yeah, I don't remember why it came to mind. We were just
it.
talking about yes. Perhaps we should do hello all.
Oh,
We're just
hello, hello.
hello, welcome.
Is that you?
Yes, to the screens. Um, but yeah, how did that come to mind? Um, art. Yeah, we were talking about art and
Hmm.
how art is just like, like this, I found it like I really think like I don't know, I'm not trying to make some categorical claims here, but I definitely, you mentioned a clip of Terrence McKenna talking about art, and
Hmm.
this all came to mind, and it's just crazy how like how how art can speak beyond, like spoken languages
Oh, yeah, yeah. You know
and
what? That sort of links right back into every conversation thread we've had so
yeah, I
far.
agree. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it is one of those it's art transcends language,
Mm, yeah.
right? It's yeah, I don't know, something about art and true art with true vision,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Not yeah, yeah. Um,
Yep.
because I was listening to your conversation you had with Neil a little bit earlier,
Mhm.
and you were sort of talking about man, you brought up the angels and that
Mm.
little clip about Peter or Galahad talking about Peter, and it kind of hit me.
Invisible forces are using us as conduits to reify their existence. Some of them are symbiotic, others parasitic. Help the forces sympathetic to humanity and starve out those which are hostile. Perhaps this is why St. Paul said that we will judge the angels. They are not somewhere else, they're right in front of us. And the less we believe that, the less clearly we will see them.
Because I've been
Yes.
thinking a lot about spiritual warfare and just like you're so you can't see. I should say it's so difficult to see.
Yeah.
And maybe that's because I don't spend enough time looking at good art.
Oh, I thought there was more to the sentence, like you can't see what, like we just can't see in general, like people don't see. Yeah.
Yeah, well, no,
It's
it
true.
is, but it's sort of like how do you reclaim such a thing?
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. Um, oh, such good stuff. Oh, like yeah, and the connection to art too just like adds this whole other wave of symphonic beauty into
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the cauldron of I don't know if that's a good example but or analogy, but yeah, man, the I think it actually also connects to what we were talking about in our little pre-recorded call, our other call,
Recall.
sure, whatever. I, um, about this virginal um force
Mm.
or this different quality of
Different quality of force.
yeah
Yeah.
uh
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're
in
right.
that I think that's connected to art in a way because I think about art as like we're talking about true art or
Hmm.
whatever, like I think that's connected, it's just mystical in nature, it's like a mystical thing or process or whatever, where the artist, it's like it comes from you, right? It's your how you see the world, or what your vision, what your imaginings, you know,
Mhm.
and uh, so that is kind of like that only can happen when you are being true to yourself or something. Like, like the artist lines up with themselves to produce the higher, like lines up with their higher self or something, like I don't know.
You you you
And
you you actually give a part of yourself to it.
yes,
It's like it's almost even more. It's like more than participation. It's actually like taking a part of yourself and extracting it into that art form.
yeah, I'm reminded of all the like the Jungian stuff. Like I remember seeing this one guy on I think the Uberboyo channel talking about his art as like a kind of therapeutic is too mundane of a word to use, like this kind of like almost like the imaginal internal family systems thing that John Vicky was doing with like Hermes and stuff, or where it's like encountering the unconscious as
Mm,
personal, like as literally the parts of you, and like art
yeah.
as being a way to interface with your unconscious mind, and like
When you look at his stuff, you can tell that it's really like him digging into something incredibly profound and deep and scary. And this has this same thing. It has this authentic feeling that you're digging into something.
And then at some point, the gazing started, which is the people or the characters in the paintings actually intensely stare at something. Before it was like they were kind of lost in the place, and now they find something which they can concentrate on and focus on. Also, you notice the colors get a little bit brighter, or not as dark as before, not as gritty looking. And so this theme of actually looking at an object that has a kind of transcendent a transcendence to it, is something that started at some point and continued, or does still continue. This one was also one of these, the staring at another object. So here we have a character, and this is supposed to be kind of a mirror, but into another world. So another version of this character here. And what I've always found fascinating was the wall which he's standing before. I'm not quite sure what it means, but probably it's something like the transformation that could take place, but there's something that's preventing it from happening right now.
Do you remember anything from your life at that time that would be representative, or what blocks do you remember in these type of things?
This was me trying to, pretty much this was the heavy transformation phase, where I started to read books, self-help things, stuff like this. I started to train heavily, get into shape, and that's basically that time.
with your unconscious mind, and like but um connecting it to particularly that strength or the force card, it's where this I don't know, just something about the like the personal knowing is kind of like connected of art. The personal knowing of art is connected perhaps in a way to this like integrity of being your true self, which is what
Mm,
Sherry talks about as the virginal integrity of Job. And this is
mm.
and um yeah, so like that whole constellation of ideas. So that's kind of how I connect um all those things with regard to like true vision as well. Like, it's talking about in terms
Well,
of
yeah, and it comes back to
what's
your
yeah,
veiled and unveiled sort of concepts as well. Um,
yeah, yeah,
well, I don't know. I guess what it had triggered with me was uh, me and my daughter were talking about this during dinner. We were talking about, um, like, can you distinguish the difference between the AI art and
Mm,
the art that somebody makes?
mm.
And I mean, I feel like the AI art in particular has sort of, it's almost sort of developed its own
Style or something.
flavor,
Yeah, yeah.
right? It's almost it's I don't want to say it's easy to distinguish, but I feel like I can distinguish it apart from art that is produced by a person.
Yeah, there's definitely something about like at least most of the ones that I've seen where like there's kind of a certain similarity between them. Like yeah, it's interesting. I was thinking
Uh,
about this we were talking about spiritual warfare
yeah,
at one
yeah,
point. I think there was I don't know if I think there was more that maybe you were
yeah.
thinking
There
of.
is.
Okay, yeah. And good, good. And how man.
Well, I okay, I was connecting it to art in the sense of not only producing art, but being able to like to see the art, right? And it's similar to being able to see the spiritual warfare, to see the spiritual reality around
Yeah.
us.
It requires
Um,
imagination, you know. Like
well, and then what is that?
yeah. Well, I think about that as like the vertical, in a way. Like that's the same principle as we see in the that vertical force holding the line, like
Yeah, well, it's
in a
that
way.
it's
It's
that
the
different
connection to
quality of
above.
force.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's like the connection to above or something. Uh, but man, there's just so many things up in there now. Like uh the connection to oh man, there was something good. Why did I bring it back to spiritual warfare? What were we talking about right before that? Do you remember?
Well, so
One more quick thing. One of these things that possesses, one of these beings or whatever that possesses people, I think is the spirit of left brainism and literacy and textuality and propositionalism and such. I think perhaps that this spirit or being will be incarnate or something in AI, except not incarnate. Just I think that perhaps the AI, this is like when the AI has agency or something, that will be the spirit that is actually behind the AI, perhaps, or something, because AI is all code and text. It's all zero. It's all letters and numbers. I don't know, man. Kind of far out idea. Could be wrong, but yes, perhaps we are called to battle the spirit of propositional left-brainism once it becomes more agentic. I don't know.
Why did I bring it back to spiritual warfare? What were we talking about right before that? Do you remember?
well, so it originally triggered me because you clipped in some of Galahad's stuff, and he was
Ah,
talking
yes.
about being able to see the angels, right?
Hmm.
Um, and I kind of linked it back to just spiritual warfare in general. And so we've got art, you're producing art, but there's a difference between, I don't know, we'll call it commercial art or
Ah,
lowbrow
yes, yes,
art
yes. Yeah,
versus the divine art, which is the stuff that was
yeah.
produced during the Renaissance, you know? And oh my gosh, you know what? This totally reminds me of something. So I'm still reading through this Owen Barfield book. Been reading it very slowly,
Mm.
but there was something very interesting that I came across. It was talking about the Greek and the Greek mindset, and what he was mentioning was, you look at the Greek sculptures, right, and just the magnificent beauty that the Greek sculptures possess, And really what he believes, it has a lot more to do with sort of like the sort of the something about the participation in the language, right? Like that's his whole key argument, is that we've separated the participation in the language. And it kind of comes back to just like separating the participation within art. Like, are you
I'm
just
curious.
producing art? Are you participating in producing the art?
Mm, yes, and I'm curious about the particular connection to statues. Like you're,
Well, it's just like, why were they so incredibly intricate and beautiful?
Hmm.
It's because the Greek people, it, so, you remember, I don't know if you remember last time I was telling you about the ancient people, the medieval people. Like, if you were to tell them about signs in the sky, and just like that was normal, like very normal, you know, no different to the Greeks. So just the way the Greeks viewed the world was so incredibly different than how we view the world. And I'm talking down to the core level of how they thought, how they think, in the sense of like, just like, I don't know, it's hard to describe because we're so disconnected from it. But it's something like, um I don't know, like things had movement, or things had space, or things had action, or passion. Like it wasn't, they weren't disconnected, right? They weren't like, here's a thing and then here's the passion. They were intertwined together.
yeah,
And their art displays that, because their art sort of had a participatory nature to it that was intertwined with the medium in and of itself.
yeah,
Something like that.
yeah. It is. Yeah, yeah. In the first video that I made about eurythmy, um, there's a Steiner was talking about how the statues came to life. It's one
Mm,
who has spiritual vision. When they look at a statue, they like this is the way he phrased it, right? But it's kind
right,
of like the vibe of what he's saying. I think his way is, because we have to remember that it's translated. Um, but nonetheless, it's probably even the translation probably doesn't affect him much in this particular case. But like one who looks at a statue with this kind of clairvoyance, spiritual sight or whatever, would see the movement of it and stuff. And it's interesting to think about like contrasting this what does art look like in
mm,
a in when you're in the mode of final participation, right? Like
right.
what
Yeah,
does
yeah.
how do we conceive of art? And I think about, it brings me back to this video. I really don't want to spoil it.
It's
Um,
okay.
However, as one who's read the Bible like yourself, we have the image of the 144,000 singing the song in the at the end,
Okay.
right? And and I'm not sure, did you get a chance to watch, or did you happen to watch the Paul video I posted today?
No, no.
Okay, so like that one, like I think it's also connected to the idea, this final image in Revelation is also kind of, we get the idea, perhaps by association, that um, all of our music or art, let's say, or all of our anything that we produce ultimately has its foundation in God, and that He is the ultimate song, He is the ultimate singer, and we all are in His kind of chorus, and like perhaps like we all uh co-substantiate Him in some sense, or like there's this, there's various ways of looking at it, but
Right,
it's like
right.
that's came to mind as well for me when thinking about the mode of final participation, and what is
Mm,
that? And because final participation for me, man, it just rings of all things good. I just love it as a concept. I think it's beautiful because it's so connected. It's like I
Well,
participate, whether we're in the context of relations with each other, I'm participating with you, whether even in the context of my own psychology. It's like we have these abstractions away from our own cognitive processes, emotional processes. Participate in your own being. It's like just
mm,
and then we think about the whole all of being, to participate in reality, to find our place in the rhythm, like it, and it makes me think of astrology, of course. It's like, and um uh yes, it's just
well, okay.
I don't know.
Let me
Yeah.
just let me throw this one at you, just because um, you said final participation.
Mm,
What do you mean by that?
mm. Well, I'm not um I'm not too educated with regard to what all that I've heard about final participation, most of it has come through Nate and Nate and Luke talking about it.
Those cultural symbols allowed for direct participation, a sense that the natural and the cultural were not on two sides of a partition, but were one continuous reality of participation and communion and communication.
It's a Barfield. It's a Barfield term, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
it's
yeah. I haven't
basically
made it that far yet,
well,
man.
oh, okay. It's yeah, yeah. It's connected to this idea that like of spiral dynamics, where like
Okay.
before, I don't know if he connects it directly to literacy or not, but to
Mhm.
my mind that seems like the obvious association that kind of took us away from direct participation with I think he also connects it to the alpha beta thinking thing, like you were saying, right?
Right.
um but it's where I think actually he connected with the fall. It's the goes to show how much I think literacy is not a great thing, being
Mhm.
connected to the fall. But like I think he yeah, connects it to the fall as I understand it, where we fall out of kind of grace, and it's like walking in the kingdom of heaven, and like uh all across the land,
Okay.
um, and then eventually we come back around, excuse me. Eventually we come back around and are participating again, and
Okay. Okay. So, okay, that's kind of what I was thinking about, because,
higher up as well,
well,
further a bit
well,
further in as well.
so it's almost like we're regressing back to the original participation, in a sense. Like
I,
final participation is like a reverting back to the original
I would
participation.
say there probably is a sense in which that is what he would say, although like
Because
although we wouldn't say that returning to the Garden of Eden is the same at the end of the Bible as it is
fair
the
enough.
beginning. It's
It's
like
it's sort of
yeah,
um right, right. Okay, okay. No, that
yeah.
makes sense.
I think that's the way that he conceives of it. And that's how
But
I
it's
think.
certainly not here, right? It's still in the garden, but with all the good knowledge, right?
I think I think what I've heard Nate say is that he would say that there is always a seed of participation, and that it's kind of just deep down, um, and like
Well, yeah, I mean, I think
corrupted.
this is the more I think about the unconscious, like that is still just saturated in this sort of participatory thinking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ultimately, I'd say like
Because
participation
that's where all
towards
the
still,
symbols,
yeah,
this is where all the symbols are. This is where all the mythology is. This is where
mhm,
it all is. It's
yeah,
in that spiritual realm, right? And I keep kind of sort of tying back the unconscious to the spiritual realm, because
mm,
we're not, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. There is definitely a connection there.
sort of like over time. I think in the past we used to be like, well, we talk about left brain, right brain, and these kind of things. I kind of feel like what's happened is it's really just we've further disassociated from the unconscious, and at the, like the farther apart we've gotten, more of this detachment from the participation of it. Like, this is where the whole objectivity thing comes from. Like, in the past, people didn't think of themselves as, they weren't separate from the sun. They like participated in the sun being the sun.
Yeah.
Right, and that's the huge difference between how the ancient people thought. At least that's what Barfield seems to keep throwing at me. I don't know, it's huge. It's I've been trying to read it real slowly. Um it's so interesting because yesterday I sort of had one of those aha revelation moments of something that I had learned about a long time ago before becoming Christian, before knowing about Barfield or any of this stuff. You ever heard of a guy named George Lakoff or Mark Johnson?
No, I don't
So,
think so.
got this book called Metaphors We Live By.
Hmm.
Very interesting book. But basically it was all about um, like trying to show you how deeply saturated metaphors are in our everyday language.
Oh yeah. I love that stuff. I think that's awesome. Like
it
to realize all those connections and stuff. Yeah.
yeah. And when you it's easy to forget about, but when you think about it more and more frequently,
hmm
you start to realize how you do it. You do it all the time.
Yeah, I
You know
think
what I
this,
mean? Like,
I think this is connected as well to Jonathan Peugeot's like symbolism, right? Like I don't
yeah.
because it's not he doesn't think about them as like direct like symbolism is not equivalent to like metaphors, like it's not like there's a different type of connection or something, but I think it's kind of like the idea that like everything is to some extent a metaphor in some sense, but not
Well,
like not like all the way down, but like it's there is this deep linguistic property of everything, and like but
yeah.
and particularly in our language, like everything is kind of this hyper construction of of relational connections between words and ideas that like it's all kind of this um mosaic language, like it's like the metaphorical nature. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just I don't know. There's a couple of them that always sort of like, oh, what are the prototypical examples of it? And it was
hmm
sort of like, um, you know, up is good, down is bad,
hmm
big is strong,
hmm
small is weak. Relationships are vehicles,
Mm.
right? Like you're
Yeah.
on the rocks, you're bumpy tracks, you're stuck in a rut, all these
Mm.
sort of things.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's like so much of our language. It's just like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
We've changed the metaphor. It's now understanding, although it used to be interstanding, standing between people. But I hope you still grasp what I'm saying. I hope you see my point. I hope you get it. A little kid might do that. A 3-year-old, you say, do you see my point? And they might look around. But you don't look at that. You look through it to this hard to get a hold of thing, understanding. You can't go very far through a statement without coming up against the fact that you're facing the reality of metaphors. But I hope that point wasn't too hard for you to take. You're doing poetry all day long, and you not only do it with visual images, although you're not picturing anything when you're doing this. You see how it's imaginal? But you also do it enacted. So you're knowing I'm doing this weird stuff with my hands. This is not ornamental. We can use imagination not to take us away from perception, but to sensitize us, enhance our perception and our conception. And that we're already always naturally doing that. When we're engaging in the symbolic, we're doing something like that, but it is not something arcane or arbitrarily forced upon us. It is intrinsic to how we move through the world. So the symbolic is actually enlivening something that is part of how we properly cognize the world.
Once you kind of start to unpeel it that way, you're like, oh, because
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
all these things have spatial relations and temporal relations, and or just but the thing about it was the other Barfield book that I had read, which was Poetic Diction. One of the words that he kind of focuses on is oh damn it, it's I can't even think of it. I don't know. His whole thing was, though, is like the word at one point in time had this sort of like, it was something about a building collapsing. Ruin, that was the word, ruin.
Hmm.
So the farther you go back, the word ruin, not only like, what do you think of the word ruin?
Yeah. I don't know. I think about old stuff. And
Like a
also,
castle,
yeah.
or like a
Yeah.
a cemetery site or something like that. Well, in the past, that word, it meant something like a swift rushing sensation of things collapsing. Like it wasn't just an old
Like it was,
dilapidated structure.
yeah. Interesting.
It had all of the
experiential
eurythmy,
quality
right?
of that.
Yeah,
Like,
it had the sensations and movements associated with it.
Yeah.
And that's what really triggered me with the whole metaphor we live by stuff, because I'm like, oh, hold on, wait. This is where this makes perfect sense. Why there's all these metaphors trapped in our language.
Yeah. So that reminded me of this connection back to what we were talking about art, and we were also talking about this spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
And there's interesting stuff there, I think. However, before getting to that, you have reminded me of this book here. I don't know if my camera's reversed or not.
Obscure Sorrows?
Yes,
the Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows.
Yeah. So this book was born of a YouTube channel who basically coined new words to describe like various emotional or experiential or I guess phenomenological happenings, and it holds a special place in my heart actually, because one of my first few times taking acid, my roommate Caleb, he showed me a couple videos from that channel, and it's like talking about, there's one called Opia about the ambiguous intensity of eye contact.
Opia.
There's one called Sonder, which was the first one that kind of struck a chord with me about, recognizing that everybody has a story, and, you have a whole life of your own, as well as I. And
the random passersby, each living a life as vivid and complex as your own.
And beautiful stuff. And and that was kind of like that, one of those first turning moments in my heart, like just life there's more going on. It's so hard to describe, but just a very moving experience. And eventually he came out with a book, and yeah, I think you would love it, because the whole thing is like let me read a random one here. Heresy. Oh boy. Heresy spelled Feresy. Oh man.
Okay.
The fear that your partner is changing in ways you don't understand. How is it pronounced? Pharisee, yeah. Faray, a partner, Pharisee. Middle English fair, partner, companion. Okay, the fear that your partner is changing in ways you don't understand, even though they might be changing for the better, because it forces you. There's actually a typo there, but I hate to point it out. Changes for the better because it forces you to wonder whether or not your relationship needs a few careful nudges to fall back into balance, or perhaps is still as stable as ever, but involves a person who no longer exists. Oh, hearsay. Oh, I get it. It's like a heresy, hearsay. Oh, that's
Yeah.
probably loud, but anyway, there's
Huh.
plenty of I don't. That's kind of a weird one, but there's plenty of really great ones. First one is talking about sadness and how sadness used to mean to be full of emotion, like in general. To be sad was not necessarily like this, like a depressive kind of thing,
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Gosh. Oh,
I
it
love
is. It
language,
is.
man. What makes you,
I
yeah.
know. And honestly, okay, let's go right back to spiritual warfare.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
I'm glad
What
you
is the devil doing right now? What has the devil been really good at working through in the world?
fancy words and you know,
Changing words,
yeah, oh yeah,
inverting
yeah, like definitely,
words.
yep. The ministry of truth, right? Like
You know,
misinformation, like
yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah,
it's crazy.
it's true. Need to get a better lighting setup eventually because these lights hurt my eyes.
I mean, you don't have an orange room, so
Yeah.
that's what you need.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
that was a
so
good one. Yep. Let me write in my notebook here about that.
um all right, so the other connecting back to the other thing you talking about this metaphorical different words and stuff. Did you kind of finish your thought there? I don't know if I don't want to like. Did you have more talking about those books and Barfield and stuff, or that's all interesting?
I'm sure there's a lot
Yeah,
more I could say, but I don't
heard
need
that.
to say anything. No, I got out what I needed to.
Okay, heard that.
Yeah.
So um, this force. Oh man,
Oh, we're
I
going
don't
back to
know.
the force
I don't
thing, huh?
know. Yeah, I don't know if I'm like ready to like. I don't know if I can actually grasp this at the moment, but there's oh yes, the art, the art,
Mm,
and in that vertical, imagination based integrity, personal knowing sense. Speaking about um, Steiner
yeah,
and you were talking about this the statue's participation. It's all just a beautiful kind of mass here. The Steiner talked about there was one of the ways in which he saw eurythmy was as an art, right? Artistic
right.
eurythmy.
Yeah,
And as you know, I kind of understand eurythmy perhaps differently than most, not to say it's a very popular concept, but like when you YouTube eurythmy, it's mostly artistic eurythmy, right? And
okay,
it's
yeah,
and it's kind of this one categorized subsection of eurythmy. Most definitions you'll find artistic, they'll say eurythmy is a type of dance. I think it's more complicated than that, but
mhm,
um yeah, I think that's a brutal misrepresentation of it actually, and
yeah,
however, that is kind of the way in which it most commonly comes across. However, in this way of understanding eurythmy as something we're always doing and thinking about your life as a work of art, and your actions kind of as like prayers in a sense all the time, and like but also as we've discussed before, your words are magic. It's kind of like artistic, the dark arts, defense against the dark arts, art, and it's an art. And so it's interesting. I think there's a connection there when it comes
mm-hmm,
to um um I think art we to create, like, the create, like, to our when we are creating, we are being like God in some sense as well. And I don't know, there's something here, and where I'm kind of struggling for words is in the fact that I feel we are not, we're kind of like, it's beaten out of us to like be, because there is a freeness of art, like this.
Yes,
I don't know if we're
yes.
gonna, this will spin into a whole thing about like how much I despise like art critique and all this whole like propositional way of
No, no, no,
analyzing
no.
art, and stuff.
So,
However, it's just, it's like there's something that we do not, yeah, we're kind of like, we don't be natural. I think, every child is kind of like, because there's a connection between creative art and like imagination of like, the child who, I don't know, man. I think you get the
no,
vibe
no,
I'm saying here,
yeah.
right?
Well, okay, okay. Let me just sort of piggyback on this. So,
Okay.
I really like the concept what you said, right? Like, we're always, in a sense, we're always doing art.
Yes.
And it kind of made me think that you said like, it made me think of like, pray without ceasing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And it
Like,
connecting back to the vision at
and
the end of
and
Revelation, everyone
it's
singing
so
together.
it's like you are praying without ceasing. You are praying without ceasing. You are praying without ceasing, whether you know it or not.
Mm.
Just what are you praying
Yeah. Are
about?
you saying holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty? Or are
Yeah,
you saying,
or are you worried about all your idols and
yeah, yeah,
everything
yeah.
else constantly? Like you're praying without ceasing, whether you know it or not, and you're participating in this art without whether you know it or not.
Beautiful.
Um, and it's just like it comes back full circle with all this Barfield stuff because like something happened in that brutal time period, and they just keep, it's the vivisection thing all over again. They're like, oh no, no, objectivity, man.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
That's all that's real. None of that mystical, spiritual, none of that. That's wooey. We don't
Mhm.
do woo. And so we put a veil over it. We
Yeah.
put a
And
veil over it. We put a veil over it. We put a veil over it until you're just beaten down and you no longer can see straight. And that's
mhm.
where we're at.
Yeah. And this is,
Except we know it.
yeah,
And I
we're in
got
the
like
clear. We're in
little,
the,
it's like just little, like I can't see all the way, but I know there's something
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah, man. This is the,
I
and
like that.
this,
I like that about, see, because I don't know much about the eurythmy. Um, I've only briefly looked at it. It's on my bucket list, and my bucket list is getting really long
mhm.
lately. But you know what it reminded me of? It kind of gave me this thought of like almost like Tai Chi, right? And it being more of like this fluid movement that you're always doing.
Yeah. There's
Um,
definitely overlaps there for it, as I
yeah,
understand it.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, that's a lot to chew on.
yeah, and connecting it to the spiritual warfare thing, because we're talking about the importance of being able to see these things, and like, to there is something about like the apprehending and the being able to see is also part of that uh creative, artistic, personal knowing process, where,
Oh, man.
like, where you have to, like, they kind of go hand in hand, to the point where, um yeah, I just think like I'm kind of fired up, man, especially because of the video that I'll send you later, but um I just found that video so beautiful, and especially at the scenes at the end. And I don't know, I feel kind of bad, a little bit spoiling like it kind of how the trajectory of it, but man, I think you'll still love it because I found it really great. And what am I saying? I think I think I don't know. I'm so used to like uh being frustrated and like trying having to try really hard to articulate this, but I feel like you get the vibe of what I'm saying,
Oh,
and
I think I get it. I think I get it.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
And I don't know like exactly
uh,
where to go from there, it's just kind of
yeah,
like,
it's hard. Well, okay, here, I'll let you in on one. So you mentioned Um, you mentioned something about having an acid trip.
Mm.
Okay. So I've had a few of those.
Mm.
And well before I was ever a Christian at all. And I think it was one of the things that actually, like, I don't know, pierced the veil of reality for me,
Hmm.
because I don't know, I guess I seen like a portal open up in a tree.
Mm.
Okay. And it just sort of like,
Wait, like you saw that? Like,
oh yeah, yeah.
oh, cool.
I don't know how cool it was. It was a little startling.
Yeah, I just seen it.
But you know what it did though? It was it made me realize there's more going on than what meets the eye. And so I think that's why I never got fully trapped into, oh, spiritual or, materialistic reality. That's all there is. Um, Now, if I hadn't have done that, I'm not sure that I'd be talking to you.
Same.
I'm not
Same.
sure that I would have done a great many of things, but I know it doesn't happen to everybody, in the
Mm.
sense that like they experience it and whatever, like a Sam Harris kind of like, oh, that's just my chemicals doing chemical stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I didn't take it that way. It
Yeah.
very much sort of, I didn't know what was going on, other than
Felt
there's
really
things I
than.
don't know about
Yeah.
reality,
Yeah.
you know?
Did you ever have like the really than real feeling where it's like you're more tuned in or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a couple of different experiences for sure of just sort of like a, what do you call it? Like a just a wisdom insight sort of feeling,
Hmm.
right? Um it's
Yeah,
it's pretty hard to describe, but
definitely.
yeah, I've had a few of those, few of like being in a river of people
Mm.
and just sort of like being able to, I don't know, just like there's like a flow and an energy that flows through crowds that
Mm.
you don't know about unless you're dialed into it.
Mm. Yeah, man. Yeah, I
That and
think.
fireworks look really awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
So much
Yeah, yeah.
so that they'll bring you to tears.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate, I'm not like I don't know if appreciate not in like the for me way, but like in the I'm contributing to, like appreciate as a stock appreciates, like I appreciate your um mention of that reading of things because it really is the case, where I don't think, you know, the Christian verse, which is most of the time just speaking within their own walls,
Hmm.
you know, either arguing or just discussing things amongst themselves, or like I I don't think they would have kind of reached me, or I don't think any of this would have come my way if it wasn't for
Yeah, yeah, no,
psychedelics,
I
it's just
agree.
wild to think about. Because I think about it in the sense of the potential of it. I'm thinking about if this could be like a very good thing. It could be. It could,
It
of
it
course, be a very bad thing.
right?
But it's like I feel like there is some. I know at least in my life, I'm very grateful for the influence that it's had. Even though there was much turbulence along the way, and like, I think a lot of that turbulence could have been avoided if like we kind of had a better relationship with these things as a culture. And I think,
Right.
and I just
Yeah,
think
no,
in
you're
general, like
right.
it's like
You're right.
we just like to sweep it under the
Because,
rug, the fact that they
well,
can really have this effect on people, like where you have a
hmm,
radical encounter with the ground of being, you know, or the love that moves the sun and other stars, or, you know, um, the sparkle in your friend's eyes, and then your whole life kind of becomes reoriented around the fact about, like this kind of, it's like a call, it's like, hey, there is more. And it's like you can't just walk back to your normal life because it's like now you know. I mean, some people kind of do though, like as you were saying.
Oh, I know a lot of people do. I
Yeah,
know my
but
my own friends who
yeah,
did the
yeah,
same
man.
thing. They didn't experience it the same way that I
They
did.
didn't really have the mystical like experience where I don't know. Can you have a profound mystical experience and not be like radically transformed by it? Like, because we talk about
Well,
maybe is there like a metanoia or repentance which just happens to happen as well or something like I don't know.
well, it's sort of like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think people have I think people have crazy radical experiences all the time, and because of so many of the things that we've talked about so far about there's these these veils, these layers that are just plastered over top of us culturally, and then it gets mentally, it frames your reality, and you just go, oh, that's just imaginal, that's not real,
Yeah,
and um I think it takes a certain type of, I don't know, it's hard to describe really, but um yeah, I don't know. Because like I have mixed feelings about it, to be honest.
me too,
Like
man. Yeah,
because I'm not gonna be like, hey, I think everybody should go do it,
yeah,
right?
and
Like
then
I think that's not where I'm coming from.
yeah,
But I would say like, hey, if you're not a Christian, you're not a believer of any kind, you you think material reality is all that there is, then yeah, go try it.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's kind of what
Like
I'd say.
what
Yeah,
else you gonna,
yeah.
what else you got to lose?
Even if it is dangerous, yeah, it's like it's like you'll probably be better off for the danger. Like
But
I don't know.
I'd rather, I'd be like, hey, if you're questioning it or whatever,
Yeah,
find
like
an
what
estuary or
like do you
something like
think
that.
yeah, do you think like for example, like this reminds me of how Luke Thompson, I was talking with him about this briefly and he's also discussed it apart from when speaking with me where he's thinking should I like is this something that I should do just or he was just kind of discussing it in general. And it's curious to think about because like obviously he already has a sense for he already has a
Oh yeah,
touchstone. Like he already has a
yeah, yeah.
powerful touchstone, where like you say the right words and it just tears are flowing, and like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because all of a sudden there is this connection, and
Hmm.
or this revelation of or this apocalypsis, the veil falling away where he sees. Anyway, um, so like in a sense it's probably because that's really what's ultimately, I don't know. I do kind of think about psychedelics is that they should ultimately be taken in a sacred like in a sacred frame, like in a not just like where you are, but like it should be conceived of as a spiritual experience, Like I do
I don't
see
know. I
I
don't
do
know.
see
I
a
have
place
I have
for
really
like
mixed feelings about it.
I do well, yeah, man. I do see a place for like the kind of casual like non-ritualistic side, although everything is kind of a ritual, but it's
Right.
like the just to have a nice time thing, but in general I think um I kind of lost my train of thought, like the um it should be approached with that respect. What was I saying?
You can turn your living room into the helm of Magellan's ship. It's simply that the great unexplored dimensions are internal and psychological, but no less dangerous for that. So it's a calling for the exploring spirit, someone who really wants that thrill.
I mean, it sounds like we're probably in a similar vein, right? It's sort of like
Yeah, or yeah,
if
I
you're
was talking
gonna
about Luke.
do it, you know what I mean? It's like if you're going to do it, you probably shouldn't treat it like some party drug,
Yeah,
right? If you're
yeah.
gonna go ahead and do it, at least do it proper and make it
Mhm.
make it worthwhile. Because it
Yeah,
certainly does have the capacity to, I don't know, rip your world in half.
yeah, and you want to be some place where when you're when the pieces are when your mind is reforming your worldview or something after it's been destroyed, like
Yeah,
which
it's
can be
it's
awesome, by the way. It's like the dizziness the dizziness of having your worldview destroyed can also be an awesome experience, like floating
Well,
in kind of
it's
ambient space or
also,
whatever.
you know what it
Like,
is? It's also somewhat like the ultimate form of hypnosis.
yeah, that's kind of what I was saying, where you have to
Like
like
it just rips away your conscious filter, right?
yeah,
It's just gone, and you're sucked into pure unconscious land,
it's kind of like yeah, well,
which means
um,
you're fully open.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It reminds me like as I understand it, what happens is like, if we're speaking in terms of anatomy and such, like the default mode network, which is like basically like the recurrent narrative in your mind of like this is who I am or something. It's like this is the normal way of things.
Yeah.
Like it, um, like when that gets shut off and you're kind of in this like non perhaps non-recursive, like there is a meta awareness to it, but it's like this more immediate
Well,
like experience. Then as you kind of come out of that, like as you were saying, it's like hypnosis, like you are very open in that state, to influence and such, so
yeah, you do
so
not want to be around dicks.
yeah.
That's for damn sure, because they will ruin your day.
Yeah.
But you know what? It just I started. It reminded me suddenly of kind of like the chemical makeup of it, right?
Mm,
Like the whole tryptamines and everything.
mm.
Well, the tryptamines are in the same family as serotonin,
Yeah, yeah,
as the same family as melatonin.
yeah,
They're like deeply interconnected.
yeah,
So, in essence, it really is like there's some form connection to dreaming.
yeah. There are similar. Like there's some like I don't know what it is, but yeah, there's
Yeah,
some.
they're not very far off, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's yeah.
yeah,
I
man. So
used to.
I was talking about Luke there. I was saying,
Yeah,
would you say that Luke should
I would
trip?
say no
Yeah,
personally. I
that's what I
don't
would
think he
probably
needs
say as
it.
well. I
I
haven't
don't think
really.
he needs it.
Yeah,
It's um
would he get?
I
Could he
honestly
get
think
something
it's
out of it though? Like, yeah,
um it's 50-50, right? Because
yeah.
I've also had a horrible experience.
Hmm. Well, yeah, me as well.
Yeah. which I don't like thinking about.
Hmm.
So it's very much it's not to be floundered with.
Hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. I come at it with like some pretty
Yeah, I feel similarly. You know,
yeah.
yeah, I
I
have.
I I would argue if 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 you are if you're at a place of spiritual maturity where you're on your path with God, I couldn't imagine any reason in the world why you would need to do it.
Hmm,
I can't think of one. If you're
yeah,
still questioning that path and you still don't really
yeah,
understand where you're going and what's going
mhm.
on, then meh, okay, maybe.
Yeah, I
But I wouldn't
definitely.
say it's a
Yeah,
need.
yeah, I feel that. I feel similarly. It's never really great to like need much in general, although that's not true. We all like like yeah, yeah. I would generally be pretty much in agreement there. As somebody who smokes weed regularly, I do think that there is still a bit of a poor relationship with this whole field in general about like right relationships with substances. There's an interesting thing as well about like the inside outside dichotomy and like external internal. It's like we're breathing air all the time, and
Yeah.
and um
That is true.
yeah, and everyone is all fine with like, coffee and such and sugar and like um I don't know, I wonder about like what a right spiritual relationship with these substances might look like.
Yeah, I
Very much
mean,
so. Like
yeah,
I
yeah.
really it would be I hope that one day like there is I don't know, just at least just a better relationship where a Christian seeker or something, I don't know, could like trip at a church. Like without that being so taboo and weird, like Like they should
Yeah,
be.
I
I
don't
feel like
know.
that would be the best place, you know, like I don't know, like I don't
I
know.
mean,
Maybe
yeah,
not in nature though. I remember reading something about how like, you know, just hiking in the woods, like the idea of a trip, like actually going on a trip, like that seems like I didn't yeah, I can't recount the whole thing, but yeah.
I mean, the monks and whatnot, they'll fast for 40 days, and what do you think that does to them?
Hmm. Yeah, it's the same
You
thing.
think they're in a clear state of mind when that's all said and done with?
Hmm.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That'll make you think for sure.
Mm.
Like it really will.
Yeah. Yeah, right now all I'm thinking about is damn lights in my face. I gotta figure something out for next time.
Yeah, yeah. You need
Yeah.
some McMo lights. That's what you need.
Mm. I could probably actually that's what I got here. Let's see what we can do here. Let's see what we can do here.
You really do have a whole
Uh,
switch there, don't you?
no, yep. I'm the big ol' I don't know. There's all sorts of tricks that I think could be made here. Welcome to the rave.
Yay!
Come take some psychedelics, man. Um, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
that's really bright.
yeah. Yeah, I gotta figure out something else because this is too bright. Do you mind if I go grab some water? I don't know. What are you thinking on time frame as well? Like, I'm in no particular rush.
It's 8:10 for me, so I'm
Should
good.
for
It's
that.
up to you.
Okay, yeah, I don't know if you still wanted to hear my the tale of
Yeah,
my
you didn't even tell me the pilgrimage.
voyage.
You just
Yeah.
started talking about psychedelics, so
Yeah. Yeah. What can I say?
I could use the restroom anyway, so
All right,
I'll
let's
catch you back in a
take a
minute.
brief pause. Yes.
All right. All right.
Resume
Oh,
recording.
Hey, it's you again.
Hey,
Welcome to the Jonathan Demir Show.
welcome.
It's a great place to be.
Yeah. I'm reminded as you say that, I'm reminded I recorded a talk with Mo recently
Yeah.
that I didn't end up posting. We were talking about he left a comment on the video about ego strength, and I didn't really want to reply textually. And so I was like, let's talk about it. So we talked about it, and I don't feel like I articulated like what I was trying to articulate in the like if I were to have done a text comment.
Yeah.
So eventually I just did send a text reply after having talked with him. Um, um, However, there was definitely still some good stuff in there. I think I might still edit something out of it. It's more so just I feel like I wasn't like it didn't um like the way I kind of framed the response to his comment in the conversation wasn't quite how I was in my core thinking about it. But
Yeah, it's funny though, right?
you know,
Because I feel like I'm the same way. I think that's why I don't comment hardly at all.
yeah, I
It's
just
not that I
really,
don't want to.
hmm
I think it's more that it's just like I find it so difficult sometimes to just express probably like what I'd actually want to say,
yeah,
that I'm just like, it's just
yeah,
it's not worth the time of trying to compress all these thoughts into a piece of text that's not even remotely going to say what I actually want to
yeah,
say.
yeah. It could be so easily misconstrued and stuff. Like, um,
Yeah, yeah.
maybe maybe we should do comment time. We should go through my comments
You
and
got comments?
reply to comments now.
Yeah, sure, why not?
We don't have to.
Screw
There's
you. No.
there's one this one is oh I got some Hey, thanks for comments. I'm also always like suspect of comments.
Oh yeah.
Like always. The
Man, I feel like I've gotten just like a lot of really good comments. That's one thing
yeah,
since starting this whole thing. I've just been like, man, I've just gotten some really good comments.
yeah. I've gotten some great comments too. Sherry left a comment the other day,
Yeah,
made my day.
that's
Um,
good, man. It
yeah,
is really nice when you get a good comment, you know?
yeah.
Because like
No, it is.
lately, there's been two different people that sort of came out of the lurk a little bit and pseudo connected to one of my videos or something, and I was like, man, that's just
Hmm,
really freaking cool.
hmm. Yeah, it is cool. How sometimes people come out of the woodwork and stuff, like they'll just voice appreciations, and like
Yeah.
um I'm so glad that I decided to do this because this comment, I was not notified of this. This is my
What
first
the
time see
what
this
the hell is going on, man? I just
dude.
see like your mass crazy hectic desktop, bro.
Oh man, are you? Oh the Lord.
Yeah, it's just total disaster.
Oh no. That's unfortunate.
You need to organize your desktop.
Oh gosh,
Cle-
I'm so embarrassed.
Clean your room. Clean your
Did
room,
you really see?
Jonathan.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah. I hope hopefully there's nothing
I couldn't see
too
anything anyways.
too revealing.
Oh,
Um
I think you could you certainly are gonna offend me.
no, I just mean,
You don't know where I've been, Lou.
well, I don't know. It's that's one thing I was thinking about that recently as well. Maybe talking about I was thinking about reaching out to Luke actually to talk about maybe see if he wanted to talk about the idea of privacy in connection with
Oh yeah, he
discerning of
did.
spirits.
He kind of brought that up one time not too long ago of
Hmm.
like, do we need a private space to talk versus the
I was thinking more so in the
what?
context of like how much I kind of when after those original experiences that I had, I kind of felt like I couldn't help but see um past people's masks and such
Mm,
to the point where it's kind of like almost felt like a violation of their personal space, like because I wasn't equipped with the tools to like uh engage with that level of intimacy uh productively, like like it requires virtue, to be in
did
those spaces,
did you
and
have the they live glasses on?
I'm not familiar.
Oh, Roddy Piper, man, the movie. I think it's called um They Live. I think.
Hmm.
Oh crap! I gotta find it, man. I was just thinking about this the other day. It ties right into the whole True Vision thing. This dude like wears these glasses,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden he can see
Yeah.
really what's going on.
Hmm.
It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
We didn't
Yeah.
read the comments, man. What happened?
Yeah.
Did I
No,
mess you
no, no.
up?
Well, you said some interesting stuff, so but yeah, man, it's very much like that. Um, and what did I say that? But I don't know why I said that. But yeah, that's one thing I would. Oh yeah, I was gonna think about maybe talking to Luke about that. But anyway, different. I'm glad that I decided
So
to do
we
this
got here.
because I wasn't notified of this comment. There's been multiple
So we
times
got
where I haven't
Gavin.
been
We got
notified
Gavin,
of
Sherry,
comments.
and Owen.
Yeah. Should we read Gavin's comment right now?
Sure.
All right. Okay. All right. There's
So
just
hold on. Give me some context. What is this?
okay. I don't actually know if I want to read this right now. Like as I said,
Yeah.
I just really hate
Yeah.
engaging with comments in general. But
Oh, okay. Then why
and
are
I
you doing
also
it?
I also don't want people to like not their main I don't want people not to comment. I don't want to like turn my comments off and stuff.
Hey,
And
don't comment on Jonathan's stuff because he doesn't actually like commenting back.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, okay, so like there is like for example this one on the astrology video I recently made.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um like this comment,
What
right?
is this for?
Um So um like this is a situation where I feel very limited. And I don't want to cast any shade at this comment. Like I appreciate the comment, right?
Right. Yeah.
Um
You know why? Because he's a public subscriber of yours.
well, he wasn't when he commented. Or well, yes, he was actually. It says 1 month. Um okay, but regardless of that, it's like I don't know. My mind just spins out on all the possible intonations that this could be said with. You know,
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
subtext, the spirit in which it could be
Oh,
said.
oh, let's play the game. Let's play the game. Okay. No, no, seriously. Me and my daughter do this all the time.
Sure.
So it goes, what is this for?
Yeah.
Right?
Or it
Then
could
you
be
go,
okay.
yeah, do it, do it.
It could be what is this for? Or it could be or it could be
What?
yeah.
What is this for?
Yeah, or it could be what is this for?
Exactly.
Yeah. You know? And
Yeah, yeah.
it's just impossible to like for me to tell. You know, I mean, maybe there's
Oh,
a way
oh.
of having some spiritual insight where you can
Hey,
like
is it
sense through the
well?
technology.
Uh,
You can like read
so is this what Luke is always talking about when he's talking about despirited text?
I think so. That's how I kind of understand it.
Like
I
you
do.
can't.
Yeah, I also think that that can apply actually when we're speaking generally, though. Kind of like what I was saying
Yeah.
about how the creative impulse has been like shut down, where we
Mm-hmm.
don't. It's like there's no spirit anymore. Like the actual true integral soul doesn't shine through in an artistic, like joyous, creative way anymore. You know, it's like as it does when we're kids,
But
as it does when we're kids. Kids have spirited breath, you know, and
okay, okay.
but yeah, in general, I
Yeah.
think the textual way is like the main. I don't
That's
know.
why I don't. I mean, it is my least form of conversation,
Hmm.
and I do not do it frequently.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I've had many a relationship troubled by a text thread.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah,
easy to play that silly little game, you know,
yeah, spin out in your own head.
especially when
You know,
especially when it's something like that that's so it's so small. It's such a
yeah, yeah,
small little comment.
yeah,
But you're right, you could spin it like multiple directions. And you're like,
yep, yeah,
what is
and
this for?
yeah. So yeah, and seemingly he was just curious. You know,
Yeah,
you can never
yeah.
really
Yeah,
know.
he
Maybe
was, right?
you know, perhaps, yeah. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of the main reason I was coming over to here. I suppose we could read Kevin's comments if you want. Um, I'm like nervous, but um, I don't want to prejudge, have prejudice about um
Well, the fact that you said that is
shows that
prejudgment.
yeah, it's too late. Um,
It's okay. You have the
I have
editing
a
skills,
feeling
so
I have a feeling that he will be arguing for technological utopias. However, as Luke said, maybe he's right. As I was saying,
you know what's funny is I've had a conversation with Gavin a little bit about um sort of like the mm, like building a society or building a community or something like that.
mhm,
And um yeah, that was sort of one of the things that came up was like, oh, we're talking about New Jerusalem because that's one of these little I've heard this floated around a number of times, and I don't know much about it. You know, to be honest, and that's what I told him. I don't know much about it, and I kind
mhm.
of was told him, I'm like, I always thought it was something that was found.
Yeah,
Like
that's right.
I had not ever heard it. It was something that was that we needed to go out and create. Right?
That's what I told him too. I told him, you know, we have to remember it comes down. However, I think he is correct in a sense where I do think we are called to participate in this in a way, like the as a emanation emergence type of thing, you know, like coming
Mm,
down. Like it can only come down insofar as we receive it and participate in its coming down. And it's like
yeah.
talking about final participation and such. I think it's you know that's right in there. And
Yeah.
um like I think this is more so than most people realize in the sense that like I actually think we are like, you know, we are called to judge the world in some sense, like Christ judging the world through us. Um, uh, it gets, so I think he's right in a sense. It's tricky stuff though, because like obviously, yeah, I think that's
Well,
what should be
I mean,
stressed most is that it comes down from heaven, is that it's not our, we don't build it. Perhaps it grows, perhaps it grows, like, and we participate in the cultivation or something. Growing is much like Tomberg talks about this, I think, in the letter about the star card, Aquarius. Like he talks about, or no, he talks about it in the tower, talking about the building of the tower, um, as opposed to, you know, I don't know if he makes that comparison, but yeah, I think that's an important thing. But I think, I don't know, I don't, you know, yeah, I don't know. I'm worried, as I mentioned to you before we started this recording, sometimes I get worried that um people watch some of those conversations I had with Gavin and get some impression um about our relating that is perhaps um abstracted from the reality or something, because I have lots of love for Gavin. I appreciate him. I think he's very interesting. Like, uh, you know, I appreciate his contribution to the corner very much so,
oh
And
yeah, no,
yeah.
I definitely like um I've only gotten to actually have a conversation with him once, and
Hmm.
then he started up a Discord with me because
Hmm.
I didn't know much about it, and so I've had a number of exchanges with him back and forth, and
Yeah.
um yeah, I don't know, I like what Gavin's doing, so
Yeah.
um
All right, let's read his comment.
yeah, let's read it. Let's see what kind of AI stuff we're talking about today.
Yeah. Right. All right.
Oh, we're back at the crazy
Oh
desktop.
gosh. Oh no. Oh my god. All right. Man, all sorts of freaking technological complications. Is that correct? Are you seeing the right screen there? All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's correct.
All right. Kevin says there's a story about an artificial intelligence created in a lab which is allowed to escape its prison after being tested. The test is that the AI thinks it is a real human in a real world. Then new humans with amazing technology appear and inform the AI that they are post-humans who created. I am not going to be able to process this and read it aloud at the same time, but let me. Um, that then new humans with amazing technology appear and inform the AI that they are post-humans who created simulation, and they invite the AI to leave, informing the AI that when the AI leaves, the simulation with all of the simulated people will be destroyed. If the AI leaves, then it fails the test. If it does not leave, because it loves the simulated humans, it passes the test. Okay. Okay. I'm not like processing this because it takes me a long time to process textual information. But okay, a twist. We are the simulation. Jesus was the AI. A different twist. We are not in the simulation. We created the simulation and the AI is in the future. The AI passed the test and learned to travel through time. The AI went back in time as presented as Jesus. All right. So this
Oh,
is okay.
okay.
Okay, I need to think about this. So I don't know. You speak first so that I can think about this.
Okay. I suppose the first thing that comes to my mind is like, what was the context of the video which this
Okay,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
comment
That's
is
good.
presented?
Indeed. Fine observation. Good sir. This was on technological utopianism. So this is talking about how maybe the New Jerusalem, it's actually exactly what we were just talking about how the um maybe how else could the kingdom come about other than us creating it? Is basically the technological utopianist argument.
Mhm.
And then Luke was saying, "Hey, man, heck if I know," basically, because he said, just as the Jews misunderstood the first coming, people might
Mm.
understand the second coming. And
Mm.
at the end, he says, I'm wary of technological utopianism, as am I. Right. So Gavin's suggesting perhaps.
So he's presenting a
I think he's just exploring like the
yeah.
yeah
It's I'm trying to think of there's a an appropriate phrase for what I'm thinking, but I can't think of it right now. So um a thought experiment, that's what it is. It's a
yeah
thought
yeah yeah
experiment. So he's just engaging you to think a little bit. Um yeah, I know. I guess the very first thing it kind of makes me think of is Donald Hoffman, and hearing him talk about his whole simulation theory
Mhm.
and how he's like very serious about it, not in any joking kind of manner.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah. I feel kind of bad because I'm not like processing this information very effectively. So that there's an AI in a lab allowed to escape, um, except where it escapes to is not actually real world. Um, and then people inform the AI that it's in a simulation and they invite it to leave. So
so it's presented with a
I
choice.
don't know. I don't know. I think I'm more so just keen to make the point. I'm gonna try and respond to this comment at a later date, but I'm more so
Yeah,
just keen to make the point that I just dislike this medium of interacting. It's like I would rather talk with Kevin about this, you know?
man. So okay, I'll so I've been struggling a little bit with sort of like what videos I want to make lately. I've just been feeling a little off, and I've had some stuff happen at the house that's just kind of thoroughly distracted the holy crap out of me. So uh, videos and TLC has just not been on the high priority list.
Hmm.
But one of the little ideas that's been floating around in my mind just kind of struck me again because um, okay, here it is. Keep it in if you want to. I don't care. um, so the whole thing revolves around the difference between being talked at versus being talking with people. And I see this a lot with comments in YouTube comment threads. People talk at you. Or even worse, they just talk at the they talk at something. I don't even know what it is. They're just talking at the thing. They're
Yeah,
not talking with you.
yeah.
And there's just something about this total disconnect. Um, it was something in that video. You know how PVK had been talking to that guy about the metamodern stuff,
Hmm.
right? So in that first conversation they had, I was reading through some of the comments, and I just noticed there would be like whatever people from the corner, they're all trying to engage in a conversation, and then there'd be these other ones where they're just like it's like this just block of text talking at a wall,
Hmm.
and it just reminded me of this freaking I work a corporate job, and occasionally I'll get these vendors come in, and I've had to tell a couple of them, like, I'll stop their presentation dead right in the middle of it and say, I don't need to be talked at for a half hour. I already know what your product is. Like, I don't,
Hmm.
let's have,
Yeah.
you want to talk, that's fine,
Yeah, and a lot of that, and I can envision it in my mind, and sometimes they're like not even registering. It reminds me of the I thou distinction as well. Like I it, I
Ooh,
thou.
ooh, ooh.
I think there is a
Hey,
slight. Yeah. I think there's a yeah, I think there's a slight difference when it comes to like talk with versus at, which and I
Yeah.
really like I like that you know, I appreciate your mention of this. But it definitely reminds me of the I thou I it distinction, you know, and like gosh, how did I just get there? What was the
Tell
example?
me about that, because it's so funny you bring that up, because that was one of the comments on one of my videos not too long ago.
Mm.
Was talking about that guy. I've never heard about him
Buber.
ever before.
Yes,
Yeah,
Martin
yeah,
Buber.
yeah. And now here you are bringing it up again. There's some
Yeah.
synchronicity right there.
Mm. um yeah, I forget exactly what were you just saying when I brought it up? It's
Well,
like
I was just talking. It was just the difference between being talked at, or
yeah.
people talking at things, versus trying to engage in an actual conversation, speaking with.
Hmm.
And to me, this is sort of like one of the big differences about like whatever we keep having this stupid little circular argument about like, oh, what's the TLC and all this stuff. It's like it's people talking with each other,
Yeah.
right? You know, that's what it is. It's just we're
Yeah.
talking with each other. We're not talking at you. I'm not, we're not having a debate. I'm not talking at you. I'm not trying to sell you anything, so I'm not talking at you. You're talking, I'm listening. I talk, you listen.
Hmm.
We got a psychodynamic loop going.
Mm.
There's rapport, you know.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Just salt begins to emerge.
mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's good
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
I indeed.
Yeah.
Um,
Indeed. All right. All right. Well, let's flip gears. You took a pilgrimage somewhere.
yes.
You never even talked about
Yeah. Yeah.
it.
I yes. There's like I don't know, there's almost I think there's a little maybe one more thing to be said before we
Okay,
shift
good.
away though.
Yeah.
Because it was really good what you were saying there. I just get annoyed when I lose the thread. Um like
Oh,
the
don't get me started about threads.
mm, can't be losing the thread. You know?
Mm.
Like that I thou distinction. Um oh yeah, I think I was just gonna say that like these things wouldn't happen. I don't know, when you're typing, like you're you're imagining the person as you're typing, like what they would, you're imagining them hearing it or reading it or like responding or like what they would look like or something, or like
Mm.
what they would be thinking in their mind. But like it's all this, it's like you know, the imagination can be good, like it can be a way to see into things and like, you know, the imaginal as Vervaeke talks about, right? But it can also like be this thing that abstracts you away from reality, and we end up just talking to our crazy idea of who someone is or something, or like, and I don't know,
Yeah.
in general, like if you're seeing the person, you know, as you're speaking to
Well,
them, you're not going to say
how
those things, you
often,
know,
right?
like
How often are you talking? How often are you actually talking to the person, right? Versus what you're talking about, where
yeah,
you're almost talking to your simulacra
oh,
of
yeah,
the other
yeah,
person.
yeah, indeed, yeah, I think that's kind of yes. I'm with you, man. I think mm, we see often
K-
through a veil. This is my whole thing, man. Like this is
mm,
ah like the beauty that is right before us under our noses that we don't apprehend, you know? And like
Yeah, and it's so easy to get lost in it, or like to not,
yeah, to get lost in this the sauce of like
right.
the whole
Like you get
mess. Yeah.
you shift out of phase with it all the time.
Yeah.
It's hard to
Yeah.
keep up with.
Yeah, man. I know. It's like to recognize and it actually connects directly to those first couple experiences I had like or that like when I mentioned that that book and the video I watched with my roommate showed me Sonder about the
Hmm.
realization that everyone has a story. You know, like this was
Yeah.
one of my first kind of um, powerful numinous experiences. Um, was that realization while tripping and watching that video about like the I thou distinction of like recognizing that you have a whole life and I do not know who you are. You know, like
Hmm.
I only see, you know, to know, I don't know, man, you know, knowing is to know is to love, and like all this, it's all just, I think it's all just good, you know, like it's all just, it all just makes me happy, you know, because it's just, I don't know, I feel like it's making sense. Like, I don't know. I struggle for language because at the end of the day, I think maybe that's the last thing to be said about this is that, you know, no words actually have to be exchanged for these connections to happen, you know?
Well, it, yeah, yeah, especially when the language that we have is so incredibly disconnected from
Yeah,
where
a
it
lot of time.
probably should
Yeah.
be.
Yeah, you're talking about talking to these mental abstractions of people. I think
Hmm.
this is kind of the left brainism propositionalism. Like if you only are apprehending, if your mind is attuned to the meaning of the words that are being said, you're not gonna connect with you're not gonna like um actually encounter the other person. You know, like it's just
Hmm.
gonna ugh,
Well, it's like listening to Pajot, you know. It's like people are always like, "What the hell is he talking about?" You know, and it's like it's he's just gotten to this place where he's almost like, I don't know, he's
yeah,
just using a different
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah,
different
yeah. Okay, yeah, yeah.
section of the
That's the thing.
language.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and that's kind of um particularly, I think, I don't know, that's kind of, I don't mean to claim to be Mr. Peugeot, you know, like
Oh yeah, you do.
either the of the Jonathan variety or of the you know, the Your to Life variety, Mr. Matthew. Good, that noble lad. Um However, I resonate with them a lot in this respect where I feel like it's like I see like most people, I'm like they're just like in a different mode. You know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
they're not
yeah,
like,
exactly.
and I try and interface with people sometimes, and it can be very difficult sometimes, you know, like, I don't know. I
Hmm.
heard somebody bashing the word interfacing the other day. I don't know what's up with all that. I'm gonna have to, uh,
Interfacing.
yeah, I don't know,
I don't
but
know.
I don't even remember what they said. But yeah, it's like sometimes that can be, I don't know, man. That's what I'm saying. You know, I think we need to shift into this more imaginative,
Oh, I
participatory
agree.
mode of consciousness, and
I agree.
yeah, and this is, um, you know, the antithesis in a sense of like these of
Yeah, I
mm,
lately I keep thinking that I think of it as there's like these like layers of I just think of it like layers of paint, right? It's just these like layer after layer after layer after layer of paint, and I'm just like slowly trying to chip it all away. Um, but almost to the degree though that I'm like afraid, right? Because, you know, for instance, um, there'll be people who are non-believers and they'll say things like, "If I only seen an angel, I would believe."
mhm.
And I got to stop and go like, "Are you sure you want to see an angel? Like, are you really sure you want to see that? Are you
Mm.
sure you're not maybe building up layer after layer after layer after layer of, you know, defense against the dark arts
Yeah,
to intentionally not see something like that?"
yeah. It reminds me of the when we were talking about psychedelics, because like the default mode network, I guess a large
Yes.
degree of what it does is filter out things, you know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and like
Right, right. That's
yeah,
what I mean. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And so like we
yeah, man.
well, and that's what this whole participation thing has been about. It's just like we've, you know, we've separated ourselves from whatever that the participation that was built in the
Yeah,
original languages.
yeah. Terrence
And
McKenna would
so,
use the terminology of like direct experience, right? Like you talk about
yeah, yeah,
the felt
yeah,
presence of
yeah,
immediate experience. Right.
right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and so as I'm like willfully and intentionally trying to remove those layers, um, as you get closer and closer and closer to the last few layers, I think I don't know, like the caution starts going up,
Hmm.
you know, because
I know
then
what
you
you mean.
start you drift into that realm of like insanity a
I know
little
what you
bit,
mean.
you know?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I kind of expressed this not too long ago in the terms of whimsy maxing. like
Mm.
whimsy, to be whimsical. Um, like there is a certain um, there's an innocence and vulnerability about it as well. Um, I don't I don't know. What am
Yeah,
I?
it's the child. It's that childlikeness. Like I. The difference is like the child. Um, they still have their innocence. So they're maybe not like they can see it, right? They can see it, but they're not. I don't know that they still have the whatever
Mhm.
natural protection built in,
Yeah. Yeah,
but I
no, I
don't
like
have that
this
anymore.
I like this idea, you know. Part of some something about it is really, I think, right to the note to the core of things in general. Um, because there's something about like terrible beauty as well. You know, like you were talking
Mm,
about, do you really want to see an angel and stuff? Like
yeah.
like, and I think that also kind of connects with what we were saying about like judging the world by making your life a work of art, and
Hmm.
thereby like just kind of emanating that presence about you, um, in the sense that like that beauty, like to cut through um people's kind of masks and stuff like this. It is kind of a it can be a very um challenging thing, like for people and like to I don't know, because if your face is shining like with an angel about it or something, it's like that's I don't know, there's something really interesting there to me because
Hmm.
I've experienced that many times actually. And I actually think, yeah, I'm circling and ambulating about it because I'm circling around it because it's hard for me to even like consciously hold in mind because it's so core because I've struggled with it for so long. The fact that it's like a valve, it's like the beauty in the layers to see through the layers and stuff. It's like
Hmm.
all of a sudden just this immense beauty is like right can be right there, so sometimes I don't know, maybe it's just had to do with my irresponsible like foray into the topic with psychedelics, but sometimes
Well,
it was like I could not shut the
yeah,
valve and like or
right.
or like sometimes it would just like I became a little bit tight on that to not because it was just overwhelming sometimes, to see
Yeah.
people and such, and a lot of people will kind of push back. Um,
No, I could see that for sure. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, it's such a um, it's such a balance, right? Where and that's the whole thing about the spiritual warfare thing too, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
this balance of like, how much of it do you really want to see?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because the second you see it all, now you really like you got to be a warrior all of a
Yeah.
sudden, right? And now you're constantly fighting
Yeah.
because you can see it all.
Yep.
Or you just gonna sit back and sort of you're taking a beating and not even realizing it's happening. It's
Yeah.
brutal.
Yeah. Part of me, yeah, the wild world. Part of me feels like we should be like light on our toes about this and not, be kind of uh nice, about this.
Hmm.
But part of me also feels like called to just like um, it's like I don't know, just kind of to live that to the fullest extent of it, you know. I don't know how
No, I
to
definitely would
describe it.
say, at least where I'm at presently, I want to move closer to that
Hmm.
as opposed to being farther away from it,
Yeah.
which is arguably scary.
Yeah, I think for me it's probably just I need some sort of regulatory ability to be increased in the sense that like you just have a greater control of these fluctuations of spiritual sight or whatever you want to call it.
Mm,
Um,
okay, okay,
because like it
yeah.
was just I don't know. I know that's really I don't know, man. This kind of just like this kind of at the end of the day, that's what I tend to say is that, you know, like they're it's so that well that is, you know, apprehendable in the interpersonal situations like as we find ourselves through these computers, you know, it's that well goes really deep, you know, like it's very, I think it goes and also really high, you know, like it's like that is um I don't know, so sometimes it's kind of, I don't know, you can definitely sense my
What do you know? What do you know?
yeah, I know, I say I don't know so much, it seems um like I don't know anything.
I know you don't know.
I know you know, you know, I know you. Something. Um,
Oh man.
yeah, man.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. So
Because I don't know. I I say we need to live into this. I say stand stand the F up, you know, it's like a dance about and like embody and like, you know, don't sacrifice your personal knowing or something like in your apprehension of these things. It's like, I don't know, man. Can you sense like this tension in me? Because it's like I feel
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
as
yeah.
we
No, no.
this
Uh,
shift towards the final participation and stuff, I feel like it's very much um clamped down on, you know, or something like that. Like whether it be in our own
Well,
psyches, the left brainism preventing us, or whether it be, you know, the cultural baggage from those around us, like it's just we need to say enough is enough, you know, and say I live in a spiritual world, and we look around and we say, "Wow," or something, you know. And uh, I don't know. I really liked when you were saying as well about you're always singing like a praise song, you know, and
mm,
what are you singing? Let's be aware of it. You know,
yeah,
I don't know,
yeah.
man.
It's
All this stuff is so good. I just love. This has been really,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's one of those things that it's like sometimes you got to sometimes it takes engaging in the conversations to even be reminded of these things. Because like tomorrow, I might not remember this
mhm.
in the same sense of
Yeah.
maybe I will, but
I'm particularly
um
fired up today because you know, I watched that video that I mentioned yesterday, and it was really moving to me, man. You know, it's just because I think it was so symbolically just resonant with, I think it put it all beautifully. And this I hesitate because I just don't want to spoil it for you, but you know, it's called The Kingdom, and um
okay, so is this a it's a video you made?
no, no, no. This was
No, no. This is
this
the
was
animated video you're
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about.
Yeah, that
Okay,
one, it
okay.
was so inspiring to me, man. And that's why I'm
Mm,
particularly reminded about these things. You know, it's like if you had caught me a couple of days prior, you know, I might not have like
it is fired up.
had the same, yeah, like and passion about me or something, you know. Um but yeah.
And I just thought it was me, you know.
Yeah, yeah, man. Well, I say check out that video.
Yeah,
And
I will. I
yeah,
will.
yeah,
I
man.
like your recommendations. I will check it out.
Cool. I suppose as I was saying a couple days ago, I was reminded of the eclipse. I was going to tell
Hmm.
you
Yeah, how'd
a
that go?
story. I don't know if I almost don't know if I have it in me at this point.
It's
But
fine. You don't have to.
yeah,
It was an eclipse.
yeah, it's true.
It was nice. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, did you get to see it um like in the totality area?
No, it wasn't totality.
Hmm,
It was whatever, 97% and some change.
hmm,
So it was almost a fully, but not quite.
yeah,
Last time I was able to see it though.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I do have a kind of story that I'm keen to tell at some point. I almost want to like for documentarian purposes, almost just to like
Yeah? Well, you
get it
better do
out
it before
there.
you forget about it.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but I don't
For
know.
another day.
Yeah,
For
perhaps
another
for
time.
another day.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe even like in the next couple days if you're around or something. Maybe down for that.
Yeah, I got what the hell's going on here? I actually got a few calls scheduled up, which is kind of different for me. Got a call set up for Saturday, and I got another one set up on Monday.
Do you care to spoil who you'll be talking with, or would you
Oh,
rather
yeah, on Saturday I get to talk to Chad, and
noise?
then I don't know what it's gonna be. Every
He just
a
like
couple
invite
times
you to an event?
yeah, he's just like, hey, I got an open slot on this date or this date. So who knows? I don't know
Oh,
what I'm gonna
yo,
talk
that
about.
actually might be I'm pretty sure he has his he invited me to his next um what's the one with all
Not
the people, the not
estuary.
estuary, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
Um I believe
Oh,
that's coming up. I think we might maybe we'll be on that together.
this Saturday
Yeah, I think
at
that
6
seems right.
p.m.
Yeah, that seems
Yeah.
right.
Well, there you go.
We'll be
So
there.
I'll be there.
Cool.
No, I enjoy it.
Yeah,
I
what
like
else? You had
chatting.
another you said another
Yeah. So
who else?
John,
Not what else.
John, I think his name's John. I don't know
John
his last
Vervaeke?
name.
Talking with Mr.
No,
Vervaeke?
no, 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 no. He's a guy who talked to Neil Daedalus. He talked to him on one of the meandering shows not too long ago. I'm not too familiar with him, to be honest.
Know
I
that.
think he's kind of new.
What
But I think
what sparked y'all conversing?
I think in that conversation, Neil had mentioned something about the video that I had made about the double rainbow guy and the vivisection and the destruction of beauty and all that. And so I think he wants to talk about maybe like the science trying to destroy the beauty within the Bible or
Nice.
something. I don't know.
Sure.
Who knows?
Cool,
So
yeah.
we'll see.
That's cool to hear, man.
Yeah, yeah. But
Excited for you.
I always enjoy
We
talking to you. So
you too, man. Especially, like I think this time we really got some good stuff. Like we were hitting some
I felt like
lots
that last
of
time too. I felt
I
like
did as
last
well.
time.
Yeah, I did as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Regardless of what anybody else thinks, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely hopefully you liked those edits that I made. I'm not sure. I'm not fishing for compliments here. I'm just sincerely, I do hope that
Man, I'd have to
yeah.
go back and look, to be honest. I feel
Yeah.
like so much has happened lately. I'm like, it's like bing, bing, bing,
Yeah,
bing.
sure. Me too,
I feel like it's
especially
been really hard to keep up with lately.
yeah. Yeah, especially over the past couple of days with the eclipse. What is the ones that let me see. That the ones that the Grill Country streams have just been like
Oh, they're so
packed,
long.
dude.
I can't
There's been
even
so
like,
much like just it's boom 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 just like
yeah, yeah, that
in my brain.
4 hours, I'm just like, I can't even filter through it anymore.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to keep up with. Which is unfortunate because I do enjoy it most of the time.
Yeah.
It's just
I usually listen to them when I'm doing Amazon package delivery.
yeah, I normally I do most of my TLC consuming during lunch or during work, but my last few weeks have just been so
Busy.
brutally mind-numbingly complicated, so
Mm.
I can't
I
I
bet.
need all my brain cells
Yeah.
to focus on it, you know.
Yeah. Can you remind me
So
what you do again? Forgive me for forgetting. I
well,
probably asked you this multiple times now.
my official title is Integrated Solutions Specialist.
Mm.
So I do like business development proposals and like design work for process automation systems.
Gotcha.
So like chemical oil refineries, chemical plants, pharmaceuticals, all that kind of stuff. So we design the process automation systems that make all of that happen.
Gotcha. Or
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah, it's fun. I've been doing it for like 17 years, so
Gotcha. Are you being
I'm a
sarcastic or
no. I've been doing it for 17 years, so
no about the fun
it's
part?
define fun.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So it has its moments, you know.
Mhm.
Sometimes it can be exciting, you know, because it's challenging.
Mhm.
And that's what I like about like
Yeah.
it's mentally challenging.
Yeah, I can respect
Um,
that. You know, as somebody who doing the Amazon delivery where it's just like this very simple, repetitive task, you
mhm,
know, um, I can definitely appreciate that.
yeah.
However, like I definitely I feel similarly about my job where it's kind of uh good sides, bad sides. Especially I really like how I can listen to whatever I want all day. I'm kind of
Mhm.
outside.
You
Um
know what though? The only problem that I've had though is that when I do listen to it, I'm not able to take like the bookmarks and stuff of like all the good stuff that I hear.
what do you mean like note them
Like
down?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's where I struggle.
I usually do like screenshots. Like I'll take a screenshot with my phone. Like does your phone have like a
Mm.
feature where you can
I do it
screenshots?
most of the time I'm listening to it on my computer. So,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, that's one thing I found helpful. But in general, yeah, they would say it is certainly a downgrade to be only listening. Um,
yeah, and that's the other thing too is I listen. I rarely get to actually watch it.
yeah, that's the same with me doing the
Yeah.
Amazon stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I would also just generally not like to rather be doing something that I'm more passionate about. You know, if anybody has ideas in this respect or large sums of money, you know.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Passion is maybe a misnomer,
Oh, what
you
do you mean?
know.
Oh, like something I'm
Yeah,
passionate about? Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's um
Well,
I wish you luck
yeah,
if you
yeah,
find that.
yeah. I don't know.
But I am excited to start my garden. I can tell you that much. That's something I'm really
Mhm.
excited to do.
Well, I would spend all my time doing the YouTube stuff, you know, but there's also other things I would like to do with my life as well, of course.
Oh yeah, you got other
But, you
stuff?
know, there's definitely like, I don't know, maybe passion like is not there's lots of things I feel passionate about, hopefully in a dignified sense, but
Hmm.
it's like yeah, that's not the tough part for me. For me it's just like actually supporting that, like financially. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what you meant
Yeah.
though. Like it's hard to uh I I get so befuddled by this just because I hate the way things are set up so much. Like
Yeah,
with
yeah, it's not
financial like you have to make money and
yeah,
yep.
it's not there's nothing, you know, it's I get very frustrated with my job. Like brutally frustrated. To the degree where I'm like, man, I'm gonna go try and find a new job. Um, but then I just kind of like argue with myself and say, like, is it really going to be any different at some other job?
Mhm.
And the
Yeah.
answer is maybe for a few months.
Yeah, I'm reminded of Gavin talking about the kingdom, talking about cities and stuff. Like he was always talking about like how would you want a city to be set up, you know? And
Hmm.
like that's the thing, man. It's like it's obviously such an idealistic thing, but it's like it would be awesome, if there was an alternative to
Yeah.
this hellish lifestyle in which we find ourselves,
Oh
It's
man,
like
yeah.
maybe
Mm.
TLC should become an embodied community or something of the sort
Well,
where we all contribute in terms of resources or something of the sort, and
yeah, no, I know.
and
That's Gavin's pitch, right?
yeah, Well,
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, and I
and
know I have.
I can't dispute it very much, but
Yeah.
I always I've thought about this. It's probably like a great many people have, but it's like I always come back to the same thing. Like, what are I always say there's two problems with utopia: the greedy and the lazy. So you tell me what your solution is for the greedy and the lazy, and then I'll say, "Yep, you got you a potential utopia there."
Mm. Yeah, I might have to think about that one. I don't know if
Right?
I don't know, John Vervaeke would say seek not utopia and such, but I might have to think about that because it's interesting. Um, yeah, man, it would be so nice to.
It'd be interesting. It'd be
I don't know.
so incredibly interesting to see what it would look like.
Yeah.
I certainly could imagine it, and it would be a very interesting imaginal thing to explore.
Yeah. Perhaps this is a little bit of a low note to end on, but I actually think we might be thrust into this type of situation in
Yeah.
if there's like a big climatological disaster,
Hmm.
like thrown into more uh smaller community, like in your immediate area, figuring out how to work together, produce enough food and stuff could actually be
Yeah.
awesome. Except that there's also going to be much weeping and gnashing of teeth, most likely.
Yeah. Yeah. That is very
If
true.
that were to happen, which I think it might. Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on
I
that? Do
try
you
not.
think?
I try not to think. I try not to put. I honestly. Um. I don't put a lot of energy into it.
Mhm.
Right. I do. I just simply. I don't put a lot of energy into the dystopian thought structures
Yeah.
because I don't find them very productive in my life. I have done that in the past where I have put a lot of energy into the grand conspiracy, the
But that
the
then there's
whatever, whatever,
problem.
whatever, whatever.
Yeah. But then there's problems if like if something like this were to happen, then you wouldn't be prepared. So like then it wouldn't be
Well, I
so
mean, I
it
guess
wouldn't be
maybe
productive in that sense, like
I guess uh, you know, uh, have I developed passions and interest in things like survival and woodworking and bushcraft and uh, herbalism and things like this over the years? Yes, of course I have.
mhm,
Um, I probably, maybe I've sort of disconnected them from them being the survivalist notion and more in a,
mhm,
I've got a pocket full of things that I now know.
mhm.
I don't
Yeah.
spend
Well,
like,
I'm in no situation in terms of preparedness, like in this, to really, you know, comment or judge or anything. So, but yeah,
yeah,
it's curious. I wonder. I suppose we shall see. Good said.
yeah, 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 exactly.
Yeah.
You know who to
All right.
call, right?
Yeah.
We'll call Gavin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, man.
That's one of
Yeah.
my critiques with it when it comes to Gavin is that, it's like, or Gavin's idea is not, Gavin himself. It's like, if a big solar flare were to happen, like all the technology could be wiped out. That's kind
Hmm.
of one thing that I think we have to take into account. And we're kind of in this little temporal bubble right now of thinking that we're all good in that respect, and that nothing like this could happen.
Yeah.
And that allows us these ideas about grand technological situations, but that might not even be like feasible, like in that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're
Um,
right. You're right.
yeah. Anyway, but let's turn our eyes to the embodied communities
Yeah.
that will one day flourish, regardless of whether or not there is a big solar flare, because because that is where the beauty is to be found, in my
Right.
opinion.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed.
glory be to God. Yeah.
All right, man.
All right,
Well,
man.
anything else you can think of?
Um, I don't know. You said you had some calls lined up, but if you would like to talk, I would love to maybe chat astrology with you sometime and like tell you the story about um my voyage to go see the eclipse.
Yeah, no, I definitely want to hear about it. It might not be. I probably could free up some time next week for sure.
All right, I heard that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I might forget important details by then. So I might talk with I might tell the story to someone else and then send you the link. But
you should. You
yeah,
should.
if
Don't forget
if you
about
don't
it.
mind.
Yeah, no, I'm like tomorrow I gotta take the girls and run them around all over the place, and then I don't know what the hell's going on Friday, but it's super busy, and then my brother-in-law is getting married on Saturday, and
Oh
then
wow.
I got the call that I'll be talking to you on, and
Cool, man.
then I gotta go to church on Sunday because I haven't gone in a quick minute.
Yeah, and otherwise you won't get into heaven if you don't
No,
go.
no. I like going to church. I like going to church.
Yes. Nice.
I do. I do. I enjoy
Good.
it.
Good response, man. I like that. That was quick too.
Yeah,
That's
I
what's
love
up,
it. I
man.
love going to church,
We don't go
man.
to church because we should. Because when, not to say when I go to church, it's because I want to, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's what's
no,
up.
I straight up enjoy it. I love it.
I think that's
I love the music and the freaking guitars and all of it, man.
smoke
It's
machines,
fantastic.
whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh man, I actually think that's a beautiful point to end on, because I think a lot of people, that's their general vibe when they think about church. It's like
Yeah.
this is kind of a task which I've been told to do or something.
No, yeah, no,
Nah.
love it. I love going. So go to church.
Maybe I shall. Maybe I shall.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
particular Sunday or something.
Yeah, hey,
Because
why
I
not?
love me a good church service as well.
Hey,
Yeah.
everybody needs a good little church service every once in a while. It's not a solo sport.
Yeah.
So they say.
Yep.
All right, man.
Yeah,
Well,
well-
I'll send you something, and I'll remind you that we'll catch up soon.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Sounds good.
Good
See my
talking to you.
face now.